Good afternoon, folks. So what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be working on road geometry, which comes under the topic of geologic geometry, which is in the applied graphics section in the DCG syllabus, usually section C in the exam paper. And what we're specifically going to be focusing on today is a bit on roadworks, and the area of roadworks we're actually going to be doing is on cuts. In another video I went over the area on fills, okay? So generally the idea is that if you know fills, then you know cuts, or vice versa. There's 4 questions on the page. We're going to do them each individually, okay? So they'll probably get a little bit trickier as we're going along, but not too difficult, okay? This is very much the starting kind of phase on learning road geometry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to flash into this first question here. So in question 1, folks, it says the map shows ground contours at 10 meter vertical intervals. So we can see the distance between our contours, 40 to 50, is 10 meters. It says AB is the centre line of a proposed roadway which is level at an altitude of 30 meters. Okay, so I'd always write this in, level at 30 meters. Okay, and then it says using side slopes of 1 in 1 for the cutting. Okay, so our cut ratio is 1 to 1. Complete the earthworks necessary on the northern side of the road, okay, to accommodate the roadway. Alright, so now in lots of questions, especially in the leaving cert, they'll just tell you the cut ratio and the fill ratio. Obviously they're telling us here that it's cut, but you need to be able to identify when it has to be cut. And we know the roadway from A to B is at a height of 30 meters, and if we look at the land around it, all the land around it, except for maybe here at this point 30, that's actually a point where the land is the same height as the road. Every other one of these contour lines is greater than 30, therefore the land is higher than the road. Okay, so first of all we're going to use the scale, and then we'll apply it to our cut ratio, which we've kind of done in a previous video where we used the fill ratio. So it's the same concept, okay, only this time basically the road is lower than the land, whereas the last time for fill ratio is when the road is higher than the land. So our scale is 1:2000, and the distance between our contours is 10 meters. So we know that 1000 millimeters, okay, scale on our sheet, 1 millimeter on our sheet equals 1000 millimeters in reality, or 1 meter. Now what we have to work up to is the distance of 10 meters, which would be 10,000 millimeters. Okay, so what did I multiply this by to get this? I multiplied it by 10. Likewise, if I multiplied what's in reality, I also need to multiply it on my sheet. So 10 times 1 is 10. Therefore, that's kind of our little magic number that we're going to apply down here to our cut ratio. Okay, so just a little bit of a kind of quick sketch here that I did. If you imagine this is the road, okay, it's like a cross section of the road, okay, and that's the car on top of the road, and that road is at a height of 30 meters. Okay, essentially what we're doing is, in the last time where the road was higher and we were building up to the road in a gradual slope, this time we're cutting away from the road. So you can see here, now I've kind of just done a little bit of a line there to give the idea that there's kind of like, I suppose, a mountain here beside it, and it's far too steep, okay? So you can see some rocks falling here. That's the idea, okay? We need to make it a lot safer. So what we're going to do is, we are going to apply our cut ratio. So we're going to build a little triangle, okay, that is in the ratio of 1:1, okay, away from the road. Likewise, if I was to do it again and add on another bit, so I move out another 1 from the side of the road, and then put my other triangle on top, so you'll see here. So essentially now I've moved out 1 and 1, 2 from the side of the road, and I moved up 2. Okay, and what we're actually doing is, that's the slope that we want there. That's kind of the slope that we want, and we're getting rid of all of this. Okay, and therefore making it a much more gradual slope, which is a lot safer then. Okay, and that's the idea of what we're doing. Okay, so we're going to apply that 10 then to our cut ratio here, which goes into 1. So basically every 1 meter I travel up from the road, I'm also going to travel out 1 meter from the side of the road. Okay, so if I apply the 10, that means for every 10 meters I travel up, I'm also going to travel out 10. And as we know, we're looking down in the bird's eye view, so we can't obviously measure 10 up, okay, but we can measure 10 millimeters out. So that's kind of the distance we want to measure out there. Okay, I know it seems that like the 10 and the 10, I just had the 10 here, so that was my answer, but I had to apply it to the ratio, okay, which is important there. So, at the side of the road here, we know that has to be 30 millimeters. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure up in increments of 10, okay? And unlike the fill ratio, where the increments go down, in the cut ratio, the increments are going to go up. So, if I measure up 10, 20, 30, 40, I'm not sure how many I have there, but if this is 30, well then this one will be 40, 50, 60, and 70, and if I look at my contours, yeah, 70 is my highest one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put those lines in across, so the 41, 50, 60, and 70. I will plot my points, okay, so we know the 30 was there, there's a 40, 50, and 60 would have been, you can see here it's going out over here, so it's somewhere over there. Just to give me a guide, I'll put in a little dot over there. Okay, likewise going this way, so I've got 40, 50, followed up 60, 70, this is back down to 60, 50, 40. Okay, so I'd imagine maybe over here somewhere there might be a 30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch in that curve there now. Okay, so there we have it, guys. As you can see, I have drawn in my kind of sketched slope there that I've created from the cut ratio, and I've also put in my tadpoles. Now the cut tadpoles are different, are the vice versa, or the opposite of the fill tadpoles. And essentially, this time we've cut away a surface, and it's like we have a ball up here and it's rolling down towards the road. Whereas the fill one is when the ball is at the top of the road and rolling away from the road. A cut one is where the ball starts away from the road and rolls towards it. So it starts up here at the top of the slope and it rolls down towards the road. That's how you identify that it is a cut area. Okay, so that's the first question done, guys. What we're going to do now is we're going to scan over here to the second question on the right hand of the page. So for question 2, guys, it says the map shows ground contours at 5 meter vertical intervals. So this time the distance between our contours is 5. ABC is the centre line of a proposed roadway which is level at an altitude of 15. Okay, so level at 15 meters. Okay, same thing here. Let's put in at 15 meters. Okay. And it says using side slopes of 1 in 1 for our cuts, so that's our cut ratio, complete the earthworks necessary to accommodate the roadway. And you can see here we're probably going to have to do the southern and the northern side of the road. And also we've kind of got something a little bit different here, where it's not just a straight road, the road actually has this little kink in it, or a little tiny bend, okay, a little sharp bend, okay. It's not curved or anything, it's just coming to a point, okay. So we've obviously got a straight part from A to B and then another straight part from B to C. So what we'll do is we'll focus on the A to B first and then do the B to C at the end. Alright? So before we get on that, using our scale is 1 millimeter on our sheet is to 1000 millimeters in reality. Okay? Therefore the distance that we're working up to is our 5 meters between our contours. So 5000 millimeters is kind of what we're working up to. What did I multiply this by to get this? Times 5. So I also multiply what's on my sheet. Okay? Sorry, and that's the magic number there, kind of the 5. I'm going to use that 5 there in my cut ratio. The cut ratio they gave us was 1:1. That means for every 1 meter I go up vertically, I'm also going to travel out from the side of the road 1 meter. So apply that. So 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 1 is 5. So 5 is kind of the measurement we're going to use to come out from the side of our road. Okay, so what we have to do is, if the road is at 15, okay, I'm actually just going to use a little bit of sliding set squares here to create a perpendicular line from where the corner B is. Okay, just going to rotate using the long edge, and I have my other set square off it here. And from the corner there, I'm just going to do a perpendicular line that way and that way. Now that is perpendicular to the edge of the road going this way. And I'm going to measure up in increments of 5. So where it's 15 here, the first one out will be 20, and I need to go up as far as 40 here, and the same below. Okay, so I think I might need about 5 as far as I can tell. So that would be 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and likewise down here 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. So in the previous questions that we have done, we've always gone parallel to the road by using our t-square. Okay, in this question, my t-square, once I slide it up here, you can see is not in line with the part of the road from A to B. So I'm just going to have to use a little bit of sliding set squares here and go parallel to it. Alright, so I put in my marks there. We know the side of the road is at 15, so this one's 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and likewise here 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. So I'm just going to plot those points in, so going parallel to the side of the road there. So this one is the 20 mark. So I'm just going to mark this now this time, keep it a little bit neater. I've got a 20 here, and what I'll actually do, just to show you there, because you can see I've got a 20 contour going around here like that. Okay, where I've got that 20 contour, I'm just going to continue it onto this side. Now I know it's off the straight part of the road, but I'll get onto that in a minute. 25, sorry, make sure I mess up that one, that's not a mark. That was the 30, there's the 25, sorry. Next one is the 30, 30, and 30, and then 35 here, here, and then finally 40. Okay, and moving upwards as well, so find the 20, and just make sure, so I've no 20 here on this side, just have 25, so 25, and there's two 25s here and here, and I've got a 30 here and here, and I think that's actually a 30 going around there, so I'll continue that one on as well. 35 and 35, and finally 40. Okay, so what you can actually see there is, and I'll sketch this in quickly, is the various points on the road. Okay, I forgot to locate these ones here, they're both 15, so I'll sketch that in there quickly. So as you can see there, folks, I've only lightly sketched in this because I'm not going to fully heavy it in right until the end, okay? So I've done the artworks necessary for this side, or this portion of the road from A to B on both the north and the southern side. Now I'm going to do the portion from B to C as well, okay? And the reason I'll explain why I didn't actually heavy in these bits is because the road changes direction, okay, I don't technically, there's like a pinch point in here where the road is going to change direction as well. So I have to find that before I can heavy in this, because I don't know exactly how far to heavy in that just yet. So at this point, I'm just going to use, this is the easier part, so I'm just going to measure off so I can see here. I've got a 40, I've also got a 35, a 30, 25, and I've got a 20, so I'll actually put them all in as well. So measuring down 5mm from the side of the road again. I think I've about 5 of them I have to put in. On the southern side I don't think I actually have to put them all in. And then on the northern side, 5. Okay, so with every one of these, this one here is 20. 25, I think I might only go down as far as 30 here, and then on this one 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. Okay, so on this one is the 20, so put that across there, and here you can see it in a second now what I was getting on about, and the 25, and I've also got the 30. Okay, so I'll just plot my points there. So that one is the 30. If I follow it around, I can see it's the 30, Okay, then I've got the 25, then I've got the 20, then I've got the 20, and I've actually a 25 over here as well. So just show you, I'm just going to quickly sketch this in on the bottom half. So lightly again, so look, this is the one when the road, if you imagine the B to C was continuing straight on. So I'm going to go on here. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see there, but I've kind of got two curves. This is the curve that I have, okay, of the cut ratio line, okay, from the B to C, and this is the one from A to B. Okay, you can actually see the two of them cross right about here. So that's going to be important there in a while, and I'll come back to that, where those two curves cross. I'm going to do the exact same on the northern side. So my 20, there's no 21, my 25 will meet it though. And it's going to go through there and there. My 30 will go through here and here. My 35, it's probably just going to be there. And my 40 is going to be there. Okay, just for the sake of keeping it neat and tidy. So 20 I didn't need because no 20 contour comes up this high, but the 25 one hits here and here, and then the 31 is here. I'm not going to need it over here. Then it's 35 and then 40. So I'll quickly sketch that in. So I'd imagine it goes something like, well, that was the previous one. Okay, and once again you can see the two curves. They're kind of meeting right about here, at this point right there. Okay, and that's kind of the pinch point of where the B to C roadway meets the A to B roadway. Where the two of them pinch points start, okay, right here, you connect it to the corner of the roadway in a straight line, like that. Okay, and then you can actually heavy in your curves. So I'll speed up the video while I do that. So there we have it, folks. That there is the second question done. A little bit trickier than some of the other questions that we've done. In the case of, we just have to locate what I call our pinch points, okay? It's where the direction of the road changes and where we continue on, okay? If we imagine it continuing on, trying to get the extra bit of an arc, and then we find where they cross. And that kind of gives us the little pinch point there, okay? Not too tricky if you understand it, okay? But when it's the first time you see it, you just have to take a little bit of time just to kind of get your head around it. So what we're going to do now, guys, is move on to question 3 at the bottom left of the page. So for question 3, folks, we can see it says the map shows ground contours at 5 meter intervals, 65 to 70, okay? And then ABC is the central line of a proposed roadway which is level at an altitude of 60. So say level L at 60, and then so that means the road is always at a height from 60 meters, okay? So A to B is one portion and B to C, so this is kind of like the previous question we've done. And then it says using side slopes of 1 and 1.5, okay? So our cut ratio is a bit different this time. For the cutting, complete the earthworks necessary to accommodate the roadway. So our scale is 1 is to 1,000, okay, and the distance between our contours is 5, okay, so 5,000 millimeters is what we're working up to. What did I multiply this by to get this? I multiplied it by 5, so I also need to multiply what's on my sheet by 5. Therefore, 5 millimeters on my sheet equates to 5,000 millimeters in reality. So I apply that 5 then to my cut ratio. For every 1 meter I go up, I go out from the side of the road 1.5, okay. Therefore, 5 times 1 is 5, so for every 5 meters I travel in height, okay, I'm going to 5 times 1.5 is 7.5. I'm going to travel out 7.5 from the road, okay, and that's the one that we're going to use to help us. Okay, so easiest portion here to work on starting off with is probably the portion from B to C, okay, and then I'll take the portion from A to B. So if this is 60, I can see this is at 90, 85, this one's at 80, this is at 75, 70, 65. Okay, might need that one, but I'm going up in distances of 7.5. So measuring up as best you can between the 7 and the 8. So I can only do 2 up there by the looks of it. I'll continue on an extra one just in case. Okay, it's hard to see there. I'm slightly dynamic, and I'll also do the same going downwards, so measuring down in 7.5s. So just make those marks more prominent. So if the road was at 60 here and here, then this is going to be 65 and 70, and then 75 to 80, and I think 80 is the highest, or sorry, 85 and 90. So we're working upwards. So this will be 65 and 70. This one would have been 75 up here. So we'll just see anyway. Right? So essentially what we're going to have to do is work on the southern part and then the northern side. So the 65 one, I can see a 65 contour over here. Now I can see, this is like the last question, it's kind of going away from the portion from B to C, because I can see where it's cutting right there. So let's keep that in mind. The next one is at 70, which is this one here. Then we had 75, which I assume is this one. Then we had 80, and then we had 85, which is probably going out here a little bit. And then the 91 is not relevant, it would have been way out here somewhere. So plot those points. Okay, maybe out about there, just to give me a little guide. And now I'll do the same on the northern side of the road. It's just looking there, so that's 90, so that's not going to be relevant. 85 is not going to be relevant. 80, nope. And then 75, I'm just looking up here, 75 probably would have started if I had continued. You can see where I have my 75 line up here. I'm just looking at it here. 75 probably would have met somewhere around there. Okay, and so on, and then maybe 80 would have been up here obviously, and so forth, or sorry, would have been up here somewhere. Okay, useful to know. Okay, I'm just thinking now 60, 65. I will use the 65 though, because that 65 line, I know it's very faint there, I've drawn it in, but that 65 line is cutting through there, and then the 70 line is cutting through there. And you can see, as I said then, with the 80 line, or sorry, my 75 line, I said was here, and maybe the 80 line was up here. So that'll kind of give me a guide. So I'll just quickly sketch those in ever so lightly. That was just to kind of give me a guide there of where they would be. Likewise with this, sketch it in lightly. Because the road turns, there is going to be a pinch point in here somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where yet. So that's as much of it we can do on the portion from B to C. Now what we're going to do it is the portion from A to B. So once again, we're going to have to, just going to use a little bit of sliding set squares here. Set up a perpendicular line to do my measurements from. Do right in the middle this time, makes no odds. Actually I'll do it out to the side, keep it as neat and tidy as I can. Okay, and once again measuring in 7.5mm increments. Go one more and do the same going upwards. only need 4 here, just based on the space. Okay. So this would be at 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, and then likewise up here 65, 70, 75 and 80. So sliding set squares. So I'm not going to draw on the lines fully this time, I'm just going to plot my points. So the 65 one, you can see my mark here, it's going through the 65 contour down here, and I have another 65 contour right there. My 71 goes through there, and I have another 70 contour here, and I actually have another one here. That's probably going to be the one that helps us out in a minute. My 75 one goes through here, I have another one over there. That'll give me a guide in a second. And then do I have an 80 on the bottom half? So I have nothing really of relevance over here. I know there's an 80 over here, but it's never going to go that far, so I don't need to use that. Now I'll go to the northern side of the road, so 65, it's right there. Do I have another 65? I do, it's right here, because I can see that. And then I'll go up to my 70. So I have a 71 here, using this, here, and here. Okay, so you can see it's almost in the exact same position. Likewise with 75. And I have another 75, would have been up here somewhere, something like that. Okay, so I'll quickly sketch those in. Right folks, so as we can see there, I have now completed all the kind of curves for the cut ratios, okay, or the cut lines, and we've actually identified our pinch points. So you can see here in the portion from A to B on the southern side, I've kind of lightly sketched it in, and it came over to here like this, and from the B to C came here, and where they crossed was right here. So at that point there, I'll connect it up to the corner of the roadway. Likewise up here, continued on the curve, and I estimated roughly, I had a point here, and then I estimated the next one was up there somewhere, so I just kind of continued that on. And then where my B to C portion was, I only had kind of 2 or 3 points here, so I got this one and this one, but I estimated it then continuing on. But you can see where they cross right here. So at that point there, connect it up here, okay, and then heavy in your curve. So I'll speed up the video. Okay folks, so there you have it. As you can see, the portions of the kind of cut lines that I didn't actually heavy in, so they were just to help me identify those pinch points, okay? And you can see now we have completed the earthworks necessary on both the northern side of the road for A, B and then B to C, and likewise with the southern side, okay? So once again, a little bit trickier there, with a different cut ratio that came with a decimal place, okay, 1.5. So hope you found that helpful. Now what we're going to do is move on to the final question on the bottom right of the page. So question 4 states, it says the map shows ground contours at 5 meter intervals, distance between our contours 70 to 65 is 5. AB is the centre line of a proposed roadway which is level at an altitude of 45. Okay, so it's level at 45 meters, and that continues on all the way AB including the curve there. Okay. And we can obviously see as well we've got the centre point of the arc for the curve. It then says using side slopes of 1 and 1 for our cut, so our cut ratio is 1:1. Okay. Complete the earthworks necessary to accommodate the roadway. Okay, so as always we start with the scale, 1:1000, so 1 millimeter on my sheet is 1000 millimeters in reality, or 1 meter. The distance between our contours is 5, so 5000 millimeters is 5 meters. Okay, so what did I multiply this by to get to this? I multiplied it by 5. Quite easy. 5 times 1 millimeter on our sheet, so 5 millimeters on our sheet equates to 5 millimeters, or 5 meters in reality. Okay, so that 5 I'm going to apply it to my cut ratio. Nice and easy this one. Our cut ratio, for every 1 meter I travel out from the road, I'm going to travel up 1 meter in height. So 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 1 is 5. So that means coming out from my roadway, I'm always going to go in increments of 5 millimeters, okay, and it will step up then from the side of the road. Okay, so starting off, I'm going to break up this roadway into 3 sections. Okay, I know it says AB, but we essentially have a point roughly in here, okay, where it's kind of straight to there, and that's going to be the first part. Then I'm going to do the curved part, and then I'm going to do the last part. Okay, so that's how we're going to complete this. So on this one here, we're actually not going to need our T-square because no part of the road is level with my T-square. Okay, so it's a little bit of sliding set squares and stuff here. So measuring out from the side, going to start off with this portion of the roadway and create a perpendicular line to about there. That's where it starts the curve. I'll do it off to the center, and I'm going to measure in 5 millimeter increments out. Same down here. Okay, they're all in 5 millimeter increments. So I'm going to plot in those lines now. I'll actually do the lines first and then I'll do the measurements. You can go about this many ways. Not sure how many I'll need. I'll actually just do the first 2 or 3. Okay, so if this here is 45, then this one here will be 50, 55 and 60. Likewise here, 50, 55 and 60. So I'll try to plot a few points there. So just looking at my contours. Okay, so I can see the 61 straight away has to go on further. That helped us locate a point right there. That's a point. And then the 55 contour was here. Then we had 50. And just follow this around. This one's a bit trickier. I don't know what height this is, so if I follow it around, it's actually 45. You can see it comes over here. So that's meeting at the road height there. Then we had 50 again. So look, you watch the 50 here. It's just inside it, so it's going up to 50. Then I assume the next one is up to 55. Yeah. Okay. The next one is up to 60. So it's right to there. So I had 2 on the 60. Actually I had 3, now to think, because I'll continue that one on over, even though I don't know 100%. And now I do have a 65, but it's not going to be affected because my 65 is up here. Okay, so that's not going to affect it. Okay, so that's that part of the road. Now I'm going to do this one, so 50 again. So there's 50. 55 would have been just on here, right here at the corner. So there's about 55 right there. There's the 50. 45 is meeting there. And then 50 again. 55 again. And I'm just going to assume this one is the 60. Yeah, that's the 60 there. And once again, I'll continue it on. I'll actually need 65 in this one. 65 and 70 even as well. Okay, so this here, let's write this in. So that's 65 and that's 70. So the 65 one, if I follow it around, it goes up here, down, down, down. So there's 65. And then the 70 is going to hit through right here. Okay, so there's my 70. And what I'll do is very quickly sketch those in. So as you can see, I have those sketched in very lightly at the moment, because now the next part I actually have to work on to is the curved part. Okay, so kind of like previous ones, we're just going to actually have to use a compass in this case. Okay, so I'll just grab my compass there. Going to have to use a compass in this case. So I've actually got the straight lines showing me where the curve is, so I can actually use those to measure out from. Okay, I'll measure up from. I'll measure out this way, going in 5mm increments. Curve seems to be about there, yeah. So measure out there, 5mm increments. So 5, 10, 15, and 20. And actually measure down along this one, so I'll continue that down. And once again measure out in 5s. Might need 5 at the bottom. Okay, so same concept here. Road is at 45, so this one is going to be 50, 55, 60, 65. And if I just look up here, I see 65 might affect it. We'll see in a second. So just to show you how that will appear, this one takes a little bit of time. We're going to use our compass with the center point. I'm going to plot in those arcs. So the first one where the 50 was, follow it around. You can see 50 was over here as well. So that one's not really going to affect it, I don't think. So I'll just put in that one. So there's the 50. Put in the 55 one. Then I'll put in the 60. 61 will hit it, and that's probably the one I can see now is actually going to affect it, where that pinch point is going to be, and the 65 is not going to reach it. Okay, so I just have 3 there on that side. Likewise, I'll do the same down here. So this is the 51. That's going to hit there, and just see over here. Not really going to affect that there, so that's fine. Now I'm on to the 55. It's going to hit there. You can see I'm putting it in here. 55, follow it around. It's probably hitting the same place there. And then the next one is the 60, 70, 65, 60. Yeah, it's hitting right there at the pinch point. That's happy with that. And then we have the 65 there and there. And then finally the 70. Okay, so just putting in those kind of arcs there. Now what I'll do is I'll plot my points. So for the 45, you can see here, side of the roadway, we've got a point here and a point here. Then for 50, so should have written them in actually, apologies. 50, 55, 60, 65. 70. So that was at the 50. This one was off the 55, 60, 65, 70. There's my 70 there as well. And this one is a point there, and then the 60 was meeting right here. Okay, so I can actually see my curve goes outside it slightly here, so you can see the points are very close to each other. Okay, but this was the 70 on the curve, so that's the one I'm actually going to use there. So it's just a little bit of good judgment. So I'm going to go like that. So this is actually helping us. It's a bit trickier on this one. So you can see the little tail of the original part of the line when I was doing this portion of the road. The little tail here, I'm not going to use that little bit there. I'll just put it in there a little bit there. I'm not going to use that little bit, okay? Now I'm onto this bit. So up here, so I had 45 here. Then I had the 50 contour right here. As you can see, followed up. The next one I had was the 55. Then I think I had the 60. So I followed the 60 up, and it's going to hit right there. And then followed around about here. And the 65 isn't relevant, so the 55 is the other one. So 55, trying to follow that around. Yeah, that one's not relevant either. So just putting that in. And went up to 60, so it's about to there. Yeah, they're roughly meeting at the same place, so that one's okay. And then finally, I've actually got it pretty much almost done there now. The last bit to do is this portion of the roadway at the top. So this one you can see, they do get a little bit more intricate. So stepping out from the side of the road, Okay, perpendicular to that, I'll set up a line here and here, and out along that line, so this one will be at, just looking there, 50, 55 and 50 again, so I'll need as far as 55, so this one's going to be 50 and 55, and likewise with this one, 50, 55. Okay, so the first one that I measured out is at a distance of 50, next one is at 55. So for the 51, there's my 50 contour there, and there's my 55, there's my 50 contour, and there's my 55. So plotting my 51s here and here, there's the 55, likewise there's the 50, and my 55 one is here. So sketch that in. Imagine it's meeting in somewhere there at the roadway. So quickly heavy that in. So there we have it, folks. That is the fourth question completed there on the page. A little bit more difficult on that one. You can see it gets a lot more intricate when you start introducing curves and so forth. But the main thing is that the same principles will apply, okay? You'll only really ever get a pinch point on the road when it has a sharp curve. In this case here, you see we had no pinch point, or kind of no, we had a bend on the road, but it wasn't at a specific like kind of sharp point like we had in the other two questions. So it just kind of continued on the curve, okay? And then at the end you can see I put in my tadpoles, okay? Now, as I said to you in previous questions that we have done, you can make these a little bit neater if you just plot the points rather than the lines. So you can see with the lines here it can get a little bit tricky. So make sure and don't get confused yourself. Alright, so hope you found it helpful, guys. Ask the questions complete.